Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the High Energy Woman Online Summit, where our vision is to help women step into their power to heal, to break free from burning out, and to supercharge your energy. We really hope that this conversation today will inspire you to take action, to live life with more passion and more purpose for the things that are meaningful to you. Today, we're excited to highlight Eileen Durfee, owner of Creatrix Solutions. Eileen is a practitioner, she's an innovator, she's a former nuclear power plant quality engineer, big one, inspector, auditor, and real estate builder and developer. She became sick due to chemical exposure. She endured injuries and had poor posture. She suffered from chronic pain, allergies, Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, and a lack of energy to live a fulfilling life. These symptoms resulted from her body not eliminating the toxins to which she was regularly exposed, and from growing 9 inches in 3 months. A tall woman, I love that. Then being ran over by a car. Her story is really inspiring. She tried various medications, diets, therapies, and more to help recover her health. On a quest to heal her body, she discovered what solutions worked, and she wanted to use her knowledge and experience to help others. Her journey to overcome her health issues led her to become an innovator, a businesswoman with 7 utility patents, 3 design patents, and more in the process. She founded her own health company called Creatrix Solutions to create and to distribute natural healing products worldwide. She offers various health solutions through online web stores, including spinal fitness equipment, near-infrared saunas, air purifiers, ozone generators, and healing food salts. Eileen understands back pain, toxic home and work environments, and she knows firsthand what it's like to suffer as a result. Her experience very much motivates her to create the best possible health solutions to protect the family, your friends, and consumers from a toxic world. Her passion is spinal fitness. Let's see if I can get this name right. Dr. John
Sugar.
Okay, so she uses Dr. John Sugar's methods to evaluate athletic ability to spot physically superior athletes that are less prone to injuries and how to make weaker players structurally stronger. She explains why the New England Patriots implemented spinal fitness into their training programs and how these methods spread to the New York Giants, the New York Jets, and also the Dallas Cowboys. Finally, the secrets for gaining the advantage that reduce injuries, shorten recoveries, increase flexibility and speed, and improve overall athleticism are revealed by Eileen. It's a great bio, Eileen. I'm so excited to be featuring you. There's so much there. So thank you for taking the time today to chat.
Sure. Well, any of us that have faced health challenges know there's no silver bullet. And so, one thing leads to another, and, you start small and you start feeling all the benefits of what you're doing. So it's encouraging to do more.
I always like to start, I briefly described in the bio a little bit about your personal journey that led you to do the work that you do today. What was the biggest part of your journey that led you to starting your own business and helping women heal?
Well, I feel like I'm on my 4th life in this life. I've always been able to be good at whatever I would do. But literally, when I was to the point of not remembering, why I went into a room. This was before cell phones. I had a tablet, a reporter's tablet, and I lived by that tablet, to function. And, it was rewarding working in the nuclear power plant industry, but then they were either mothballed, or finished. And I didn't want to work where I was exposing my body to radiation. It was bad enough back then. They didn't have ventilators to protect you from welding fumes and all this other stuff, So
Yeah.
Nowadays, the work environments with OSHA are so much different. So, it was kind of a forced transition, during the nuclear power plant industry. I mean, I spent pretty much all my money on real estate. So I was, short platting, long platting, had rental units, did all those kinds of things. And, so then with my extra money, I was always trying diets and things, or, back then, getting a sauna, doing saunas. And, it was just always this passion that I couldn't stop because I could not believe that I needed medications. I believe that, if my body just had what it needed, it has that healing force, that creative force within it to be able to heal. So I just was my own guinea pig. It's like there's a lot of inventors in my family, and that's just the way it works. It's like I buy a gizmo, I think, well, this is inconvenient, or I wish it was like that. And then I go to sleep and then I see it like in a blueprint. It's just like, I just wake up, and so I had this passion and this drive to create. And so when I would, I transitioned out of being a realtor and a land developer and running construction crews and designing houses in AutoCAD to managing nonprofit corporations. And when I moved, I had an opportunity where I had a big office. And so my management company, it wasn't like a full-time job for me, so I could do something else. So that's when I got a website. I mean, I went back to school to learn the science of nutritional balancing for hair analysis. And that's when my life really changed, because I saw a lot of changes. Before I was like, I just switched from drugs to chasing symptoms to natural supplements chasing symptoms. And I didn't have the knowledge back then that, all that extra calcium and magnesium I was taking to sleep and to calm myself down and, was actually causing my joint pain, and just all these things. And when I learned about hair analysis, that we need to fix the reason why your body will use a junkyard part so that it can freely detoxify, lay up the preferred minerals. So you're not like a jalopy anymore, surviving with duct tape and baling wire, and so then I realized I needed better detoxification, and I didn't like the standard, coffee enema kits or, just everything, even from the sauna. I mean, I had a sauna that was a far infrared. That's back when we went from pouring water over rocks to doing a infrared sauna that was mainly far infrared. But then we didn't know, and it was like huge amounts of EMF blasting your body. And And I heard that near infrared with an incandescent bulb sauna was best. And my son was at the University of Washington, doing chemistry and biology. And I'm going, what is this thing? Why is it I sweat with this? And he's going, oh, Mom, you got to read about photobiomodulation. And he sent me all the stuff, so I started learning, and I got myself an incandescent bulb near infrared sauna. And even though there are things I didn't like about it, and I didn't sweat as much on day one, but every day I did it, I started sweating more. And then I had this energetic feeling over me, like I felt so clean and I felt so energized that then it's like, okay, this person isn't prejudiced. It is really better. And then it's like, I wanted it more convenient. I wanted things to work better. So I would have these dreams where I would see it. And so then I would draw it, in AutoCAD, and then I would, have prototypes made. And so it just got to the point where I was just being divinely directed to leave, the nonprofit corporation property management is what I was doing. It's doing the complete financials or board meeting packets and, interaction with the members and all of that, to the point where, I just wanted to go full time into the health. So, it was just kind of this journey to where I was feeling so good. I mean, I'm 60 years old now.
I was going to say, you look great. You look like you're fit. You look great.
I feel better than I did when I was ever. I mean, and so, it was just kind of an, evolution, because the things you think about become your life.
Yes. Yes.
And so I just naturally, the way I'm wired or created, I guess, I think about solving problems, creating solutions, but my interest is all about being able to feel energetic, sleep good, wake up with a positive attitude. And when you're sick, it is so hard.
Yes.
And I suffered so long. I think now, if I would have known some of the things I do now back when I was younger, wow, my life would have been so different. And so if I can actually make a living and then positively impact people by giving them their life back, it's just, I finally feel like now, I mean, work is not work to me. It is play, and that's the thing, is that to have a fulfilling life, you need to have your heart in line with what you're deciding in your mind. There's a lot of people that are living unhappy lives. And I know that that's a big component, besides the toxins in our world that are causing illness. And so there's this whole being, your spirit, your soul, your mind, your body. And we don't have a choice anymore with our food supply being mineral deplete, the toxins we're exposed to,
glyphosate.
We need to constantly be on some kind of a health maintenance program, or we're detoxifying, we're, exercising, we're moving, we're, outside watching the sunrise and sunset and grounding. And I mean, it's really, we have the 21st century disease. We're indoors way too much.
Yes.
And couldn't agree more. It just impacts everything. So that's kind of like my journey. I was just kind of led.
Yeah. And I like to, I'm just getting a hit that I'm going to start calling you the intuitive innovator. Intuitive innovator. I love that. That's a great story. And I think it really encapsulates, for a lot of people that aren't, kind of advanced or don't know where to start. You mentioned that you change from, let's say, prescription medications to, harmful kind of supplements to natural supplements treating symptoms, just chasing. So you just went from one thing to another. And I really think that detox is the number one strategy I think people need to start with these days. And
I agree.
yeah. So I'd love to chat with you a little bit about that. We've had so many speakers talk about binders and chlorella and zeolites, and your strategies that you have are just very, very advanced. And I think they're so timely for, what's going on. So let's talk a little bit about detox and what strategies and tools you have and why you think it's so important. I know you said why you think it's so important, but what do you have for women that can help them?
Well, maybe I should go over what I've created to be my daily routine.
Love that.
Because like I said, there's no silver bullet. We need to kind of help the whole body function. And so water is big. Drinking some spring water. I love the Mountain Valley water because of being in glass. Yes. And just the minerals, because, drinking, I'd say 80% of disease is because people are dehydrated or drinking the wrong kind of water. Okay.
Yep.
So let's get that. That's like the basis. If you have to set your reminder to drink water, because it's also not about drinking it all at once. It's, throughout the day. But, in the morning, what I do is I make a glass of ozonated water. And that's like a whole podcast just on the benefits of ozone. But it's something that releases oxygen in the body. I mean, hydrogen water is great too. I have a hydrogen maker, but I need to move it. So I'll be doing that because that's an antioxidant, you know, but I also, and I do that on an empty stomach. And then I do a near infrared sauna, you know, so you can get the blood shunting. We can kind of maybe go into that in detail later. But I do the dry skin brushing. I mean, that activates the lymph. Yep. And before I go in, I drink spring water with healthy salt, which is the most expensive salt in the world, but it's 20% minerals versus, you know, Himalayan that's 0.8%. You know, it's like for a little tiny scoop serving size, you have 6,800 parts per million magnesium versus 1 part per million in Himalayan. I mean, plus it has a negative charge, an 11.72 pH. So if anybody's read anything about Dr. Gerald Pollack's work on the exclusion zone water, or the work of Your Body's Many Cries for Water, Dr. Batman, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's an Indian name. But so you need those minerals, you need the salt, because salt acts like an antihistamine. It sucks. It helps retain the water. But, you know, when we're dehydrated, our body will squeeze our blood vessels to wring out water, to send it through our nerve sheaths to the more important places, like it'll defend your bone marrow before your joint cartilage. But the wonderful thing about detox and healthy salt is it causes, you know, exclusion zone water to expand. And, you know, you're going to be in the sauna, so you're going to get that 3,000 nanometers shining on you, which expands it more.
From the light.
But it's going to cause protons to go inside the cell, which the lysosomes, those are our heroes inside our cells that clean up all the molecular debris. They have to have protons to drop their pH. And when their pH is lower and the outside is higher, it creates this differential where it produces hydroelectricity. So, and it just really causes the body to, well, it loves those minerals that it's almost the same ratio as the Canton marine plasma. Yeah, it doesn't have the plankton in it, but the body loves it. So it'll freely give up instead of, you know, like a zeolite ripping. It's like the body says, I won the lottery. Oh my gosh, the new car parts are here, you know, and it just gets rid of the junk. And then when you're in the sauna, then you're sweating, you know, because you've done your skin brushing before, you're sweating. And then after I get done with my sauna, I do a coffee enema, and I have a gizmo to stand up in the shower, no mess. Makes it easy, so that makes extra bile to act as the binder, you know, to mop up all that stuff. And then, you know, I do my spinal fitness exercises at least 3 days a week. And then I do weightlifting because, you know, as I age, or anyone, the biggest thing is losing your muscle mass. And people don't realize that your organs are muscles too. And so when you lose muscle mass, you're damaging your organs. And so it's very critical to really get engaged, you know, in weightlifting. And you can do weightlifting in a way, supersetting and everything else, that it's almost like a high intensity interval training workout. But just, you know, doing all this cardio, yes, cardio, but not, you know, like you would think. And so, I mean, I've been on this journey because I was like 30 pounds heavier than I am now. I was a size like 14. I'm a size 6 now. And the only thing I did to get here was to start going out with bare feet in the morning with the first 3 hours, getting some sun, and then doing the intermittent fasting where I would eat in an 8-hour window. So nothing really radical. And, you know, I've always eaten a really pretty, well, not a junky diet, not super strict, because after being in a position of being allergic to everything and not being able to eat this same thing within 72 hours and having to carry an EpiPen and all this, it's like, yeah, you know what? I'll eat some things that maybe aren't on my diet occasionally with moderation. And so I really didn't like go on this huge diet. I mean, I make sure I have adequate protein. Many people do not get the grams of protein that they need for their body. And so, I've just, done these simple things, and that keeps me detoxified, and replenished with good minerals. And see, the thing that a lot of detox experts don't talk about is adaptation of the body, where the body, it's just like if you have the key to your front door, you'll use it. Well, the body, if the preferred mineral or new car part is there and it has the means to use it, it'll use it. It prefers it over the junk. So if we can give the body, what it needs, even if we're exposed to some of these things, it's more likely to utilize, the good mineral and be able to shed off, the toxins, because our body's always detoxifying. Unfortunately, these days, there's a lot of people with genetic mutations who don't have the ability to detoxify as much as others. And now I'm getting into this whole new, because I never stopped learning, where I've gotten my
23andMe.
The saliva testing every 4 hours for 24 with the urine, and then also the metabolites in the urine for all the hormones, so I can see that I have a really low risk for breast cancer, but my risk for uterine and ovarian are higher because how I'm not metabolizing. That's because of a genetic mutation. So I've had the, blood test for that done, and I'm utilizing these topical creams now based on my test results. And it was interesting, because you're working out, it's like all this, okay, so whey protein, casein, and, egg, and the ratios, and like collagen. Because of my genetic mutations, the collagen was like poison to me.
Let's talk about that. Yes.
Competing for these other pathways, and it screwed me all up. And when I got the test, the guy's going, wow, you're an anomaly. I don't know how you have so much energy, but it's because I'm doing the coffee enemas, the saunas, drinking the ozonated water, and doing all these things to support my body. But, since I realized, okay, I can't use this because of these pathways, and now I'm using a topical cream to help utilize and balance other pathways. It's like, and I've been on this now for 3 months, and I'm getting my retesting, but man, I am sleeping even better. It's like my dream and my deep sleep are like 20 and 25% of my sleep. I mean, it's just like, oh my gosh. And so I'm going to be getting more into that because, we just all are so different.
Yes. Bio-individuality. There are so many goodies that you just talked about in regards to your daily routine. So a couple just stand out to me that I really admire that you bring in detox, number one, but you also bring in the mineralization part of it. Because I think a lot of women think it's just detox, and they're detoxing too long that they become really depleted. So
exactly, because chelators, even if they're natural, they're non-discriminatory. They take the good with the bad, and generally everybody's low in minerals because our food supply. I mean, even organic. I've read some studies where organic foods, even though they didn't use pesticides and herbicides, didn't have very many minerals in it. So just because you're eating organic does not mean your body's getting what it needs.
Yes. Let's talk a little bit about, so I know you mentioned the Quinton minerals, which is just a brand of some sea minerals, but how does the minerals differ than from your healthy salt?
Well, Canton marine plasma, there's a mile-wide vortex between France and Spain where this guy, at the turn of the century was extracting seawater and processing it. He was injecting people and curing every disease known to man. Well, he got killed in the war, and there was like 1 million people at this guy's funeral. And it, balanced the extra and intercellular minerals, with people, and gave them the nutrition with the plankton. And, as far as the differences go, I met this Korean acupuncturist, at a trade show, and he had all, because I was just going between all the different sea salts and natural salts, and he had these glasses there, and he'd put a pinch of all of them in there and they would still remain acid. And when you put a pinch of the healthy salt, it went way alkaline. So I go, okay, I'm going to do this. So what I did is I cut my hair right at my scalp, a ½ inch, and I did it 6 months in a row. So I was on the salt 1 month, off, on, off, to see what was going on with my body. And then, because I dumped like a lifetime amount of cadmium. I mean, the doctor I was working with has never seen so much cadmium come out of somebody. And so then I'm, of course, analyzing the salt. Is there cadmium in the salt? What did I just do to myself?
Right.
And no, there wasn't any. And so it's like
it was chelating it out.
It was just like, it was just like giving it up. It's like, if your body has sequestered a poison, that'll work at maybe 10 to 15%, because every cell is an enzyme binding site that needs a mineral.
Yes.
So if it can't get the right mineral, it'll use a substitute that doesn't work as well. But that's adaptation, because it's like your body doesn't have the key to the front door. So it runs around to the backyard, climbs up a ladder, breaks in a window. It gets you to where you're going, but it consumed a massive amount of energy. So it's like the body just loves those minerals. And so I started researching all that, because I used to at nuclear power plants, for every metal used, you had a certificate mineral analysis form, and it had to be within standards. So I collected all the salt certificate mineral analysis that have been published, and I reviewed every single one of them. And then when I came across a Quinton marine plasma, it was interesting how the ratios of the minerals are super similar to healthy salt. So it's like, that's why the body loves it so much. It's easier to take. I mean, there's still instances where I really recommend doing the Quinton marine plasma, because it does have that plankton in there, which is very, beneficial. But with the healthy salt, I mean, people just start with what balances on a toothpick. I mean, literally, it doesn't take much to see results. If people would look at the reviews on the website, you'd think this was like snake oil, like it fixes everything. It's like, wow.
And I think really too, for women, I think that the missing link too, everybody's collagen right now is the big, the big thing on the market. But I think the minerals in the salt, I've never had, I was a former fitness competitor. I had adrenal fatigue. I had hair shedding, hair falling out, like no glow to my skin. So I think the healthy salt and the minerals, like you said, really displace halogens. So toxic minerals that are on the receptor sites. For example, bromine from, the bread, and, displaces, a lot of your thyroid, the thyroid
mercury. And,
So
it's
I think
people don't realize that, like, aluminum will replace magnesium, cadmium replaces zinc, it's just like lead replaces calcium, and so it's a big deal when it's like, if you fix the reason why it had to use the junk by giving it what it needs in a way that it can absorb, that's that's key.
You talked a little bit about bile. I think a lot of people don't know bile. There's a lot more kind of publicity around it now with things like TUDCA, things like that. But I think coffee enemas are a great place to start. What is the difference with your coffee enema versus, maybe a laying down coffee enema?
Well, a lot of people with back and knee issues or lack of bowel control, it gets messy. Or painful. So let's say you get down there and it's time to eliminate. When you go to stand up, fecal water is just going to go everywhere unless you kind of have like a catch bucket, and, it's just uncomfortable. And, I used to have a Kalima board that, it's about 5 foot long. You flip the toilet lid up and you put a stool underneath and you can lay down. And I had a bidet with an ozonator, to just lay down. I had sauna lights on the ceiling. I mean, I was like multitasking, stacking my,
Yep.
and, and so I bought every one that they made, like usual, seeing what I didn't like, and it was just going to be super expensive. I mean, $300, who for a coffee enema is going to invest that? Mm-hmm. So then I had this customer who did coffee enemas, and I had this bag that you could turn inside out and clean, because not all bags are like that. But he used to stand up and do a coffee enema, and he would roll the bag. And that got me the idea of, hey, I need a pump. So I started off with this little pump bottle, just putting basically vaginal tips on a rectal deal. Mm-hmm. But it was just too small and everything else. And so I ended up getting an FDA approved, pump setup with, and I made an adapter to go on a glass jar with the handle. And then made the tube longer, because that's the other thing. People are saying, oh, the tube is too short, doesn't hold enough water. I want glass. And so now I have the Enema Fix, which is a stand-up, no mess enema kit that you have to pump it to prime out the liquid. And then, it's got the draw straw, and, it's basically, I fill up halfway, finish my shower. I've got like a wooden nubbed brush, kind of like a fascia blaster that I use on my neck and face. And, and so then when I get the urge to eliminate, I just walk out of the shower and sit on the toilet. And I go back in, and then I use the rest of the fluid. Mm-hmm. The same thing says, ideally total hold time should be 12 minutes.
Okay.
But I always tell people, if you can't hold it for more than 1 minute, that's fine. Mm-hmm. It's like I give them the 2-week daily coffee enema challenge. And I mean, coffee enemas are big because I was in a car wreck and I had knee surgery and I was in rehab. I mean, I think I just had finished my pain pills here. I'd been on anesthesia and everything. And this physical therapy place had that S3 machine that measures circulating antioxidants that was on the Dr. Oz show years ago. Mm-hmm. And they use it to sell you antioxidants. And so here they go, oh, Eileen, put your hand on this. I'm going, oh my gosh, this is going to be bad. And I had more antioxidants than Dr. Oz on the show. And then the rep's going, oh my gosh, you're never going to get cancer. What antioxidants are you taking? I'm going, well, I don't take any. I do a daily coffee enema, near-infrared sauna. I mean, both of those increase. Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of, the coffee enema.
Are antioxidants, I mean,
the glutathione
goes up 600% from a coffee enema.
Mm-hmm. Which a lot of people don't know is a huge benefit.
Huge.
It goes right into your portal vein, and it stimulates glutathione, which is it's better than trying to take a glutathione that doesn't get digested in your stomach, with all the things that are happening. So that's amazing.
I'm working on a topical glutathione, 1/4 teaspoon, 225 milligrams, and it's showing in testing that 80% of it's getting absorbed, because some people don't like to do it coffee enema daily. Mm-hmm. And so they could, when they're not doing their coffee enema, do the glutathione. But now I just recently found out from my mutations for like not metabolizing certain estrogens that I need more than what I'm getting from my coffee enemas. So I'm using that topical cream.
Yep.
And so,
I love topical. Especially for people so many people have issues with gut, gut permeability, and, so that's great. Let's talk about your ozones. I know your ozones are different. You have ozones, but you also have ionizers that you mentioned. So give us a little brief intro about the ionizers that actually go in the sauna.
You breathe. That's your number one exposure to chemicals and toxins because you're breathing all the time. And so clean air is really important. And I actually had a dream. It was a lucid dream because I was awake, but not asleep on an airplane. And I saw this little gizmo on a tray table. So I already had an air purifier. So I just had my engineer, I said, it has to plug into a power bank, like you'd charge your phone or whatever, so you can go without power and do it. And so we made it. And then I started doing all the lab testing. And of course, I had read about the sauna studies in Europe. They really believe that half the benefits from a sauna are the ions that you're inhaling. I mean, if you inhale 20,000 negative ions per cubic centimeter, that's the size of a sugar cube, that your rectal temperature won't go down trying to, adapt to the heat, and your sweat volume doubles, your core body temperature goes up, your blood electrolytes change. And when you ask the people that were hotter, they were actually more comfortable than the people that weren't as hot, not sweating as much. And then even when they got out of the sauna, their rectal temperature continued to rise. But the other aspect that really got me, because when I saw it on a tray table when I was in an airplane, I saw all these people coughing and getting sick, and I was breathing safe. So that's why I call it the breathe safe. But it is really a powerful air cleaner. Like the LAX airport uses giant plasma air purifiers to clean up the jet fumes. It's not just a negative ion generator. It produces 19,100,000 negative ions to 4,550,000 positive. So it's this ratio that causes this really electrically charged invisible cloud that's like cleaning the air of all kinds of things. And then it predominantly leaves a lot of negative ions left over. Like if I'm sitting in my sauna, from the floor to my nose, it's like 40 inches. So I had it tested on the breathe safe. So how much am I really breathing? Because it all gets used up, and so it turned out to be 56,000 negative ions per cubic centimeter. I'm going, great, we needed at least 20 in the sauna. Awesome, And then I had people having them kind of like their personal space air purifier, because it doesn't have a fan. So it doesn't have a rating for how many square feet does that clean? But that wasn't the purpose of why I was kind of inspired to create this machine. And so it, was cleaning air, making it rich, but something else was going on. People were reporting that, Eileen, I was at my desk and, I just come over from the kitchen and I was having an asthma attack, but I started breathing over the breathe safe and I didn't have to use my asthma inhaler. I've got people that are off sleep apnea equipment now.
Wow.
And when they sleep with it, they start breathing through their nose. They don't have to tape their mouth anymore. There's something. So I sent it back to the lab to find out, why is this happening? What's going on? And I found out that it increases background oxygen levels 70 to 118%.
Wow.
Here we do all this breath work and exercise to increase oxygen levels, but here we got a little hack that we can point at us when we're at our desk to increase our oxygen, overcome the positive poisonous ions from our computer screens and our electronics, and breathe fresh air.
Yes.
But then, you think about it, when you're in the sauna, even if it's not a sauna where you have the water to pour over the rocks, the humidity rises. And where does that water come from? It's coming off your skin. You're sweating. Then I read some studies about analyzing sweat on somebody who's exercising, stimulating the sympathetic dominant nervous system. That's mainly minerals. But sauna sweat is not. It's like full of the toxins,
Big difference.
with a little bit of minerals, but then that gets humidified. Here I am in the sauna trying to detoxify, yet I'm rebreathing that stuff.
Yes. Or if you have somebody in the sauna with you, if you have a big enough sauna.
Yeah, yeah. And so the Breeze Safe cleans up that toxic humidified sauna sweat, gives you the extra oxygen. You're getting the negative ion therapy, so you're less stressed, but sweating and detoxing more. I mean, it's just a win-win. And so that's what the Breeze Safe is for. You can sleep with it. You can put it in your car. You can crossbody bag. You can have it on that battery pack. It'll run 72 hours continuously on a 20,000 milliamp hour battery pack.
Wow. I'm just thinking for the airplane or for traveling, it's great. Super portable.
The thing about airplanes is they'll let you take it through. Some stewardesses will question you about it if you have it on, and others won't, because I haven't got it, FAA approved, so to speak. And it's like too new. People don't understand, what it is.
Right. Yeah, they'll check that, I'm sure. What about, you have some things behind you. I thought earlier that they were weights, but they're actually the neck shaper. And I think women, for women, they always want the thin, long neck. So tell us a little bit about your neck shaper.
Well, these are the rolls. My neck shaper.
Yep. Okay.
I'd have to run into the other room to grab the actual device. This is an empty box.
Yeah.
Basically, it's got a chin and a pad that you put on your face. And you just, like if you're agreeing with somebody, you're nodding. That's at C5. Okay, so here we are over at our desk, on our phones, gravity is going like this. We want to get reverse gravity. And then the rolls, our foam rolls are really different than all the other foam rolls out there. The other foam rolls are really kind of hard. These are squishy. And the purpose of it, this groove, the spinous on the spine, this is the bone right here. It's show and tell time. So I love that you have your choice. It's a lot easier to picture it when you show people. Yeah. So you can't change the muscle attachments to bones. And everybody's stiff. If you stand up, your hamstrings are tight. You don't have the right curvature. And stretching, yoga and all this stuff helps, but it's like refusing to remove a nail from your tire and carrying around a compressed air can. As far as the root cause of your tight muscles is what we want to deal with. I'm all into flexibility and stretching, don't get me wrong, but do we want to fix why you have these tight muscles? Improve your structure. See, good structure is an S-shaped curve. So when you're standing in gravity, it's like very easy to stand up. But if you have a flat back, it's hard for me to hold this up and balance it. And, then you're pinching nerves, you're wearing off bones, you're putting more compression on your discs. So if you don't have ideal posture, it's prematurely aging you. So with this, because again, gravity can't, is our enemy, and we can't change muscle attachments to bones. So what we do is we do this spinal twist, which increases blood flow into the spinal discs. Normally they're like a firm sponge, but when you do that twist and get the nourishment in there and the hydration in there, they turn to a kind of like a liquid gel, and they become moldable. So then we teach you, just like Dr. Sugar had us do, is you basically lay down and you put these under your body, with your, spinous in here. And then it catches. See, the neat thing about this is these are called the transverse process. Okay. So when you are in here. The spinous floats, but the transverse process get caught there. Then with the weight of your body, when you lay down over this, because you put one under your neck and you put one, 1 inch above the hip, when you're laying down, gravity lets go. The muscles don't have to be tight anymore to hold your bones from falling on your face.
And I've actually never seen one. I know I have a foam roller, but it's hard, and you can't put it on your neck because for too long it hurts. So that one is amazing.
These don't hurt. It's not supposed to hurt. And see, this is not about myofascial release. This is about increasing curvature. These come in 5 different diameters, 3 different densities. So if you have a flat back, you're going to start with a smaller curve, smaller diameter, softer unit, and, depending on the neck. But you lay there literally on properly sized rolls, you hear your bones pop as the muscles release and they go into a better alignment, both segmentally and then also for the curvature, the S-shaped curve. And so you lay there for 20 minutes and then you roll over and get up, and it makes a huge difference. There's a little boy, 12 years old, had a trampoline accident. His father had taken him to chiropractors, physical therapists. He was having seizures. We fitted him for the rolls. I taught him the back twist. A month later, the dad comes back and says, Eileen, he's never had a seizure since. Wow. He takes those rolls everywhere with him in his backpack. I mean, because off our brain stem, every nerve in our body goes through there. And if we're not in the right shape, we're having diminished neurological signals to our organs.
And oxygen flow to the brain.
Yeah. So the neck and the back shaper rolls are key. But like with, I usually have my neck shaper one where I can just do standing up. It's like when your monitor says drink water, move. Then I just do about 5 or 6 neck flexions to make up for being at my desk. Yeah. But in my regular workout, I clamp it onto an ordinary barbell. And then I have there's the power cushion with the neck support. So I'm arching over it and I do 40 pounds on my neck.
Wow.
And then I'm doing sit-ups over the power cushion, and it works the rectus and then the external obliques for the abdominal, but it puts that low back curve in there. And then there's a pelvic tilt, which is fantastic because, I've talked to physical therapists about it, and they said, well, there's no way we could do that otherwise without this equipment. But you put it's like a train on a train track, you've got this groove and you're putting your body on top of it. And then when you put weight on top of the body, see, you've got the direction of muscle pull with the weight. So you're creating leverage. And then it actually shears back L4, L5 herniated discs.
Wow.
It's just absolutely amazing. I'm so fascinated with spinal fitness. I mean, Leonardo da Vinci, Borelli, and Pettibon had previously written about spinal biomechanics. Borelli calculated like a man with 100 pounds on the shoulder walking, what translated into compression and shear forces in the spine. It was like over 25,000 pounds. And so we don't really realize biomechanically what we're doing to ourselves, And so with Dr. Sugar's study, it was the first time that anybody has evaluated the shear forces and compression forces of every joint in the spine and to prove then what shape had the mechanical advantage. And having an S-shaped spine is a 15-to-1 mechanical advantage muscularly. Wow. And so people don't realize, if you're going to run, if your low back is not the perfect S-shaped curve, it will force your foot to land sooner. It will not give you full stride length.
Interesting.
So depending on that low back curve, how bad it is or how good it is, will give you stride length. And see, if you're standing up, see, the postural muscles are short muscles and they fatigue easily.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when those get to the point of fatigue, what the body does is it takes over with the long muscles. Okay. Those are the ones meant for running, the fast twitch.
Mm-hmm.
So here you are, you've got loss of curve in your low back. So already your stride length is forced to be shorter. But that muscle strength expenditure to keep your body erect is never available. Mm-hmm. So those fast twitch muscles can't give you the speed because they're occupied.
For all our athlete friends out there. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I do this evaluation with athletes. I have them how tight your hamstrings, bend over at the hips, don't cheat
always
with the thoracics. How far can you reach? I have them jump up. Do they land forward or backward? I have them raise their arms up. You know, how far are they at a 45 or a 30, or are they straight up, you know, turning their head? Are they leading with their chin or their eyes? And how far can they turn? Mm. And then I spend 10 minutes and I have them do the sit up. I have them roll on the back track. Mm-hmm. You know, because this is soft and squishy. Again, lets the spinous float. It's just amazing. It'll put your ribs in place. Then I have them do the pelvic tilt and the neck flexion. And on my website, you can see, you know, UFC fighter Cheeto, he was 3 inches from touching his fingertips from the ground. 10 minutes later, you can see how far he can reach.
Wow.
And you know, it's just like I had one guy get an 11-inch reach in one session. I work with Major League Baseball players, UFC fighters, you know, NFL players. And it's like, they all say there's nothing that works like this. See, Dr. Sugar died in 2016 and he worked with Ron O'Neal at the New England Patriots. Ron O'Neal was there as a strength and conditioning coach for 26 years and then he retired. But, you know, it's kind of like, if you're a runner and you invented the tennis shoe and nobody else had the tennis shoe, it's like for you to win, you'd want the tennis shoe and not to give it to anybody else. That's what it was like with these NFL teams.
Wow.
It never went anywhere until like Marcus Paul went to the New York Giants. You know, Wojska, a strength and conditioning coach, went to the Dallas Cowboys. And when you look at when those teams were winning the Super Bowls, it's when they were actively using spinal fitness as far as don't do these exercises, do these ones instead, because body muscle overload training does not make a strong joint.
No.
And there's a lot of exercises out there that athletes are doing that are destroying their curvature. And then, you know, making them more susceptible to injuries. It's making, you know, their career end sooner than it should.
And even their passions. I think a lot of people that are just kind of part-time athletes that just enjoy it, you know, I mean, once you reach 40, your knees are shot or, you know, you're always hunched over.
And did you know, like if, let's say your trunk is 100 pounds and you're standing up straight, there's zero hamstring effort and there's like less than 100 pounds, you know, on your knees, you know, because you deal with compression and shear forces. So let's say you have a total of 2-inch forward, maybe because of a little bit of loss of low back curve and maybe your head, you know, so maybe 1 inch here and 1 inch there. The hamstring effort goes to 843 pounds. And you're translating over 600 pounds to the knees. So why are our knees going bad? Because you don't have the S-shaped spine. And low back pain alone in the United States, this has nothing to do with neck. It's $100 billion a year industry. So obviously the exercises we're teaching our kids, the sit-up, the regular sit-up, let me show you this. The regular sit-up, see how those facets don't touch each other anymore? That can twist, that can herniate discs and everything else. You put it over the power cushion, which is a round arc. No more posterior shear at all. It's protected. And then you're strengthening the multifidus and interspinalis, the smaller postural muscles that fatigue easily. But when you have the right S-shaped spine, you have facet bone on facet bone. That's no muscular fatigue. That's like a vice. You're strong. You have the mechanical advantage.
Yes, yes. That's so great. I think that's the spinal fitness is a huge missing piece. Like you said, athletes have runners in general, people who do this just as a part-time, hamstrings are always tight, always.
That's because they don't have the S-shaped curve. And, in 10 minutes, so obviously that's not going to last. I mean, I actually did a demo at the Columbia Valley Chiropractic, and this guy was, a basketball player on scholarship for college before he became a chiropractor. And he could never bend over and put his fingers all the way underneath his feet and grab them. And, we did the before where I had him, reach down, and he couldn't even touch the tongues of his shoes.
Oh my gosh.
Afterwards, he got more flexibility he had in his whole life, and he's just blown away. And so now he's starting to fit every patient to this. He's got the equipment in his office. I'm actually going there to teach him and all of his staff again. And he's going to use that for everyone for doing those exercises, because it's going to give people the S-shaped spine.
Yes. Huge missing piece. I really
what's the number one complaint? Everybody's fatigued.
Back pain, fatigue.
You know how much energy your body spends?
Yes.
Just on tight muscles? Oh my gosh.
Yes. It's so great. So the whole, we're really trying to help women step into their power to heal, but also, you need energy to heal. So I think the things that you brought in, I personally am taking the healthy salts. I think that's going to be my number one. But the detox is really affecting our energy levels, the stagnant bile. You talked a lot about coffee enemas and skin brushing, just to, get rid of that stagnation. And I love that you brought in too, for all our fitness and my athlete friends, a spinal fitness and how we can really, increase our posture. And it's great. It seems like you're very holistic in your approach.
It's everything. I mean, we even have a skincare line because women, I read a study that in general, between hair, body, and makeup, they're using 500 chemicals a day on their body. And so it's so of course, I had to have something that was naturally and nourishing and
what is that?
chemical free. We have tallow based, so it's ancestral.
Yes, full stearic acid, which is so good for your skin.
Yeah, and they're all low PUFA because we have balms, deodorants, and lotions. And, read the reviews. It's like, oh my gosh, before this, natural deodorants, that weren't poisoning me, they just didn't work.
No.
Ours works. Everyone loves it. Oh my gosh.
So it's a tallow-based deodorant then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Great. It'll help us get our that aluminum that comes when you use antiperspirants. That'll at least help eliminate that one chemical.
But even when you look at other non-toxic deodorants, what really works?
I know.
We just tried all of them. So we finally cracked the code on that because my daughter was the worst, with having babies every 2 years and nursing and the hormones and, the odor. It was just, one of those things. And so, so we've got 2 different versions of the deodorant.
Okay.
And we have 9 tallow base. We have a sunscreen. I mean, I'm a believer in develop your sun callus, get out there early in the day. But, there's some times where I'm just out too much in the sun and you have no choice. And so we've got a natural, non-toxic sunscreen that people are raving about, how creamy it is, how little it's not greasy and how it works. And then we have Dead Sea mineral toners.
Interesting.
Because I was using like the Origins Natural, and paying $50 for a little tiny, 2-ounce thing, and then so I developed formulations where we've got a really anti-aging revive facial one, but then we have like a whole body toner too, and then just a regular toner that has less expensive ingredients, but still work, for the younger people who aren't like concerned about wrinkles and aging,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know our population's always concerned about the wrinkles and they want that glow. And there's just so many. I just read a study, the environmental working group just came out with this big study about the lead toxicity in lipstick. And I'm like, oh my, I mean, we all knew, but finally they're doing some studies on it. And it's just, that's just one product that we put on.
Right. Right. So, well, when I was on TV, you go into the makeup place and, all I would do is wash my face and then put my tallow lotion on. And I would go in there and they'd go, oh my gosh, your skin is so moisturized. 80 to 90% of our time is just applying moisturizer before we put makeup on. They go, what is this stuff? We want it, And so it just really all day moisturizer without being greasy.
For people who don't know what tallow is, can you explain quickly what it is?
Sure. So cows have fat and that fat's tallow. Of course, a typical cow will have 300 pounds of fat, but we don't use that. We only use about 15 pounds of fat off of a cow that's right on top of the kidneys in a fascia sac. And we only use grass-fed, nothing that's had any, antibiotics, hormones, or medications. And, we have a co-op group in Oregon where we get our fat from. And so it's really clean. And then we process the fat differently than most people rendering, because you buy tallow products out there, you'll smell like a hamburger, that like you just cooked a hamburger. And it's just like, I tried all that and it was like, oh my gosh. So I had actually a special machine made to have like a lower temperature than even an oven on the lowest setting for rendering this tallow, so then we cut it up. So we're taking, anything off of it that's just not clean. And then we render it and then we pour off this fat and we, put it in the refrigerator. And so we'll process like 200 pounds of fat, but we only end up with 25%. So if it's like almost like liquid gold, and it's low PUFA, and we're using also healing oils, because that's the other thing is, we're getting way too many seed oils, way too many polyunsaturated fats. And so it also, because anything you put on the skin goes in the bloodstream. So
directly.
We thought about that. For a preservative, we're using radish root extract.
Wow. Interesting.
It's like, now Whole Foods has this list of everything that they ban. Of course, they're vegan, so they don't like the fat, so tallow's on their bad list. But with all the other ingredients, we're Whole Foods compliant, that we don't put any of that other stuff, in our products. So it's like ultra clean.
Yeah.
They work actually, because, you read the reviews. And
I couldn't agree more. So I actually cook with tallow or butter, never canola oil. And then for a while, I was using coconut oil, but I am going to switch to the tallow, just more stearic acid.
Ghee is so good though, because of how your body will burn that fat when you're working out too. That's an excellent oil. It's got the highest heat. So I cook with ghee a lot now.
Yeah. People always think they have this misconception about butter. For a while there was this huge campaign, margarine. Yeah. And it really, the tallow and the kidney fat really helps the glow, I think, internally. So that's amazing. Well,
now there's new studies about how the rise in cardiovascular diseases because of all these seed oils, because they said animal fats were bad, but that's, you know, if we go back to animal fats, then our cardiovascular disease will go down.
Lard, you know, the old days of lard.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm a little bit too young for those days, but yeah. Well, it's been such a great interview. I really, really love how, like I said, holistic you are and how many products you really help not only women, but men too. And it's just, it really shows your passion is enthusiastic, and it's just really, you're doing really great work. So thank you so much.
well, I appreciate you having me on, because it's like getting the word out there on some of these things that can make the difference in someone's life, you know?
Yes. And it's just so simple too. So you really helped, I think, simplify some of the, you know, the qualms against detox. So yeah. All right, Eileen, thank you so much. And where can people find you? I think we're going to have an affiliate link set up, but where can people find you and your work?
Well, we're on Instagram under Creatrix Solutions, and that's Creatrix is an X-ray. And then the website is creatrixsolutions.com as well.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much. And thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys all soon.